people you were. Oh, my kind of people suffer. Oh, my kind of friend, please. Be my kind of people indeed.
Tell me your story.
Okay.
I know you're a pre-vivor.
Yeah, just like I think I introduced you to the word.
You did. I had never heard of it before you. But I want to know what the ovarian cancer.
Yeah, I wanted to go into that a little bit too.
Okay, so give me the whole rundown, because we've been Facebook friends for years.
Long time.
Years.
Yeah.
And just met at the event for the first time,
Mhm.
which I just got chills again. My
Yeah.
gosh, someone's yelling at me. But I don't know, like, your cancer story.
Yeah. So, my aunt was diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 37. She was breastfeeding her second child, and the baby was having a hard time latching. So this was in the late 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
They had just found the BRCA gene.
Yep.
And my grandmother had died of ovarian cancer, and my great-grandmother had died of breast cancer and also ovarian cancer. And every generation it seemed to affect earlier.
Okay.
So I think my great-grandmother was in her 60s, my grandmother was in her 50s, and then my aunt was diagnosed in her late 30s.
Right.
So a lot of people always ask, well, obviously it must have come from your mother's side of the family. Well, for me, it was my dad's side of the family. So they tested my aunt. She was one of the very first people in the first group that got diagnosed with the BRCA1. It's a gene mutation. Everybody has the BRCA gene, but this is just a mutation on that gene. And my dad got tested and was positive, and he just told me and my sister and my brother, we want you to get tested when you're old enough, but I want you to have at least one child first.
Gotcha.
Because he didn't want it to affect our decision whether to have kids.
Okay.
So I had my first baby, and my obstetrician was my husband's cousin, actually. So I was very safe with her, very trusted her 100%. So she's like, let's go ahead and do it right after he was born.
The testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember exactly where I was when she called.
Right.
I was on the way from Maryland to Myrtle Beach with my baby in the back seat.
And you got the call.
And she called, and a lot of people do it through a genetic counselor. But I'm glad it came from her.
Sure.
But it was a big thing. My sister had already tested negative at that point.
Really?
So it's such a crazy mixture of emotions, because you don't want it, and then you're like, well, why me?
Why me? Why
and
not
not her? But then that makes you feel guilty too, because you don't want anybody to have to.
But I think that's a valid feeling. Well, why me?
Right. So then I kind of had decisions to make about what I wanted to do. I had gotten pretty comfortable with one kid at that point, but I didn't think I was ready to completely eliminate the possibility of another one. So a year and a half later, I got pregnant with my second, and he was born. And
how old are you at this point?
I am 37.
37, had your second child. You know you've got the BRCA1 mutation.
Right.
Okay. And so that's obviously in the back of your mind.
I was 30 with my second child, and he was 6 months old, and I wasn't producing a whole lot of milk, so I just thought, you know what, he was born in June, be easier to recover from this. I decided to do the hysterectomy first. Easier to do that in the winter. So I just went ahead and got a complete hysterectomy, including oophorectomy, which is ovaries.
Tell me this, sorry to interrupt you, but with the BRCA1 mutation, I know that that's breast cancer. Is that ovarian cancer as well?
So yes, there's BRCA1. I was double checking my data when I was on the way here. So there's BRCA1, there's BRCA2, and then there's PALB, which is a relatively new one. PALB2 is a relatively new one that they have found is a contributor. So BRCA1 is super high risk of breast cancer.
Yes.
So my data came back with where the mutation on my gene was, 87% chance of getting breast cancer.
Okay.
And 60-something% chance of getting ovarian cancer.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, BRCA2 is a little bit higher, typically I think BRCA1 is in the 40% for ovarian cancer. Mine was higher just based on my family.
Okay.
BRCA2 is typically, I think, over 50 for ovarian cancer, 40-something for breast cancer.
Gotcha.
So,
either way, you wanted both eliminated, done.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
At the time, I was 100% sure that I wanted to get it done. I just didn't know when.
Gotcha. Okay.
So did the hysterectomy, and honestly bounced back from that really fast. They put a hormone replacement patch on me immediately, so I didn't have terrible effects from the menopause so early.
Mm-hmm.
It sort of creeped up on me
Sure.
later, and now I have completely gotten off of all of the hormone replacement just through my own research. I decided it wasn't helping me all that much.
You went kind of a natural path recently.
I did.
Right?
I did. Yes.
So
And-
I've seen that. It's inspiring.
Right,
Mark and I have actually talked about it. I'm like, we need to talk more about that.
Right, and I do want to get to that too. But I did that. My recovery from that was pretty fine, and then a year after that, right before Thanksgiving, I went ahead and did the mastectomy.
Okay.
So I was 30 and 31 when I
You
had
did
my surgery.
Double radical mastectomy? Did you take nipple and everything?
No, so I was able to do nipple sparing. So
Okay.
I did keep my nipples, and
Did you do reconstruction?
I did. I was
Okay.
trying to think of how to word. It's
The process.
It's an interesting thing to explain to people because if I just showed them my boobs,
Yep.
They don't look terribly abnormal. And I'm actually working on sort of I call them my Meg Talks, my Facebook
Nice.
rants,
Yes.
about, let me tell you about my boob
Right.
job. Because I get really frustrated when people are like, whoa, you didn't have cancer and you got new boobs.
Right. Yeah, I want to come. I'll be a guest on your show. Because,
All right.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not about a boob job, folks.
Right. So my thing about the reconstruction is, and just a little gist of what my blog will say
Yeah.
is, I have horizontal scars going from my nipple all the way almost to my armpit.
Oh, so yours go like this.
Mhm.
Okay. Mine go like this.
Okay, yeah, mine are just like this.
So we're not twins.
Not exactly, I guess. They have very little to no feeling at all.
Oh yeah, none.
And I'm getting ready. We've talked about I'm having a second surgery, revision surgery, because I get really bad animation deformity whenever I flex my chest muscles.
Mm-hmm.
They're always cold.
Are they?
Always.
Huh. Okay.
Like cold. Not like, they don't make me feel cold. They're cold to the touch.
They're cold to the touch.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And so yeah, it's not a
Right.
big job.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So you had implants and fat grafting, right?
I did.
And I think you told me the fat grafting faded because that's something that I was trying to look into to
It
get
does.
rid of my implant.
Right.
that's
Yeah.
terrible.
The fat grafting is if you lose weight at all, you lose that too.
Right.
And they filled in some dents and stuff with the fat grafting, and I'd say for maybe 4 years it was pretty good, and then it started sort of to reabsorb.
Mm-hmm. Did you lose weight and it reabsorbed?
I actually had gained a little weight.
And you still lost the
Yeah,
fat
I
there.
think it's just one of those natural
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, now I'm 7 years. I guess 7 years post my hysterectomy and 6 years post mastectomy, and I'm good, but it's definitely a journey,
Sure.
and it's something that I think a lot of people don't. Again, I think so many people think, well, my mother had breast cancer, there might be a genetic component, but I think it's important to look at a bigger scale there.
Both sides.
And if you do have a family history, most insurance covers the genetic testing. If not, it can be expensive, but I would say if you don't know your parents, if you're adopted, if you don't have a relationship with your family, it's definitely worth the discussion
For sure.
with your OBGYN or whoever you trust medically
It's an investment in your health,
It is.
you know?
It is. And that kind of brings me to what I'm doing now differently with my life. And I don't think I would have made a different decision to get the surgeries, but the research is changing all the time. And one of the things a lot of girls that were my age when I had it done are doing now is they're taking both of their fallopian tubes and one ovary and keeping the other ovary until they're closer to the natural menopause age.
Okay.
It's better for your bones. It's better for your mental health.
Okay.
You're still going to have some natural sex hormones that way.
Yeah.
I wish that had been an option for me.
Right.
They say that up to 80-90% of the time ovarian cancer starts in your fallopian tubes.
Okay.
So it's great research.
Well,
really, it's awesome.
they're always learning and evolving. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And we also, I think for Breast Cancer Month, it's important to, when you tell people to donate and help these organizations, to make sure it's going to research and not awareness. We're aware of breast cancer now. And I don't know if you saw my Facebook cover photo. It says "Save the," and it has tatas crossed out and says "women."
I did see that. I
And
love that.
it's a little bit offensive. It kind of makes me cry. It's a little bit offensive to see the NFL teams and everybody saying, you know, "Save the tatas," and these sexy cheerleaders, you know, and they're pink, and it's going to breast cancer awareness. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure we're all aware of it now. We need to help the women that have metastatic breast cancer. That needs a lot more research. More about genetic cancers needs a lot more research. But there's so many organizations that do more for research or low-income opportunities for women to get free screenings. And that's so important too.
Oh, sure. I didn't realize that there was such a need. I mean, obviously there's a lot of financial issues and struggles going on, but when we started the event, over half of the women, more than half, because they didn't all come, but reached out and said, yeah, I can't afford it. I saw that you might have a free one or a reduced cost one. I don't have health insurance, or I do have health insurance, it doesn't cover it.
Right.
So many people. And then we talked to another woman who was talking about scans and health coverage for lower income communities.
Right.
That's a huge need.
Right, and it's something we can make a difference with
For
that
sure.
sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's important to talk about. I mean, all of it is, and not to say that lower income people are more important than this, or that, you know, all lives matter type of that. But I think it's an important topic.
I think it's definitely
And needs a focus, and needs more people that are driven to help there.
Very
so
much.
I totally agree with you.
Another huge one is teaching people what things contribute to breast cancer.
Yes.
And that goes for, you know, this other journey I'm on is let's talk about the importance of having balanced nutrients and minerals in the body, and the harm of the chemicals that are in packaged foods and fast foods, and the glyphosates that are on everything.
Food coloring and
if
additives.
If you can buy organic food, buy it. And it's not it. And if you can't afford it for everything, look up which things are the most affected by fertilizers and pesticides. And there's things you can skimp on not getting, but you know, shop on the outside of the grocery store like you hear. But we don't talk about that a lot.
Right.
Well,
we're prescription culture.
Right.
You have a problem, let me write you a prescription.
Right.
You don't feel good, let me write you a prescription. Right. In my opinion, that's a Band-Aid. I don't want another prescription. I don't need another Band-Aid. I want to know the root cause of why I feel this way, or what my body's doing. And if you're not interested in getting to the root of my issue,
right,
I need a new doctor.
Absolutely. And that's what I've really done is in the 7 years since I had my hysterectomy, I had always had ADD my whole life. So I was on an ADD medicine. I have a little bit of a binge eating disorder, which is associated with ADD. So I was on something for that. And I was really depressed because I had gained weight, because my hormones were different. So I was on anti-anxiety medicine. I was taking Klonopin to sleep every night.
And the side effects from all of those medications.
Right. I
are
was taking
catastrophic.
testosterone to see if that could help me lose weight. I was taking estrogen that I felt like I could not do without because
Right.
everyone told me you'll get dementia and your bones will fall apart and all of these things. So I was scared to even try a different route.
Mhm.
And I finally got really fed up about 6 months ago when I kept trying to clean up my diet and I kept just not seeing any results. I reached out to a friend of mine who's a holistic wellness practitioner. He's an expert in all things nutrition and mineral balancing, and I had always had a really bad sugar addiction, and that's one of the things that is one of the worst things for breast cancer is processed sugar.
For our bodies in general, that stuff is crack, and people don't realize it.
Right, and I couldn't break the habit. I couldn't break the habit. So within a week or two of working with him and just flooding my body with magnesium and potassium and electrolytes and trace minerals through salt.
And you're eliminating stuff while you're doing that, or what was the process?
Yes, but the first step for me was just getting good stuff in my body,
Okay. Yeah.
and that made the sugar cravings go away
That's amazing.
almost overnight.
I love that you just said I'm putting good things in,
Right.
and then it removed like the need for the want of the bad.
Right.
It's very
Like
true.
I'm reading a book now by Joyce Meyer about good habits breaking bad habits, but like develop good habits that'll take place in the bad habits.
Right.
Right.
I
Yeah.
love it. Thanks
Yeah.
for saying that. That
Absolutely.
was so helpful to me. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
because I'm a sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Same.
embarrassed
I'm a
with that.
chocoholic.
It was hard, but I just needed something to
So did he develop a plan for you?
sort of. So he, I'm a strong believer in modern medicine, obviously, with what I've been through.
Sure.
I believe that we don't trust these holistic people as much as we should. I think that a lot of the things that they really study aren't taught in medical school,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to get political, but it doesn't make money.
And that's why it's not pushed.
Well, exactly.
That
but
is why.
I come from a
it's
super
not
medical
pushed.
family, so I have to
Yeah.
be careful with my
Oh, I'll
wording.
say it. I got a big mouth and nobody to impress.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's true. Me being able to get from, I started working with him in April
Okay.
for it was my birthday present to myself.
Good for
Oh,
you.
I love that.
And
Right?
within 3 months, I had stopped all of my medication. All of them.
Because
Even
he
hormone
introduced
replacement.
natural
Right.
alternatives to the pharmaceutical.
One thing my medical doctor kept telling me was, you don't have ovaries, so you don't make these hormones anymore.
Okay.
And to my brain, that made sense.
Sure. Makes sense.
And and as soon as I started working with, his name's Ken,
Yep.
he said, but you still have a pituitary gland, you still have thyroid, you still have adrenal glands. These things also make hormones.
Shocking that a doctor wouldn't know that.
Well, so it might not be exactly the same hormone,
Right.
but by balancing the ones I had left, I mean, I was super hypothyroid. No one had ever told me I was hypothyroid. So he put me on, and it's not like crazy amounts of supplements, but it's supportive stuff to
Mhm.
get me to where I need to be.
Sure.
And I feel like a completely new
It's
person.
amazing.
And I wouldn't change having the surgeries.
Sure.
But there's always a piece in the back of your mind that says, well, what's the difference between the 87% of the people that get the breast cancer
Mhm.
and the 15% that don't?
Right.
I mean, we'll never know, but
And
it
either
could
way,
be
it's a
something is
risk.
activated by something. One thing I've really learned from his is disease is dis-ease
Mhm.
in your body in
Mhm.
every way.
Sure.
So if things aren't balanced, but we should be talking more about cancer.
No, we should.
No, but this is
This applies
Right.
because as we were talking about at the event,
Mhm.
and she was saying that her friend had breast cancer, but she didn't have the BRCA gene, and she just thought, if you have that, then you get cancer. So how did she get it? And I went, environmental.
Right, absolutely.
What do we eat? What do we drink? What do we breathe?
Mhm.
All of these things contribute to our overall health. So if we're not taking the time to go for a walk, to get up out of the office, to drink water, like we're made of water. We need to keep replenishing the water and maybe not have 10 sodas a day.
Right.
Those things affect how your body performs.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well, and it also helps us. I mean, the more we take care of ourselves physically, the better we can handle stress.
absolutely.
Right.
And the more positive we can look at things and approach things and process things. It doesn't weigh us down.
Right, it's
Right.
oxidative stress.
Yep.
Right.
I heard something very interesting when doing research on cancer in general too, is they say in modern times almost everybody at some point in their life will have cancer, but your body's immune system fights it off just like it fights everything else off.
But you got to help your body fight it.
Right.
You got to take those
You might
supplements.
never you might have cancer and never know,
Right.
because your body just squashes it before it gets to be a problem.
Well, look at all these doctors that are suddenly going, you know what would be good for COVID? Vitamin D.
Right.
You think?
Right.
I take vitamin D every day.
Right, yeah.
You know? Plus I'm out in the sun.
Right.
So yes, that's absolutely good. Totally take your vitamin D.
Right.
But take all of the other natural supplements.
Right. And as much as you can get through your food,
Yeah.
the better.
the better.
But there are, I mean, find people who know this information.
Yes.
I didn't know the importance of magnesium,
Yeah.
and how important magnesium is to stress and anxiety. And I couldn't go without supplemental magnesium
Right.
now.
Right.
It's been that much of a life changer for me.
Which is so awesome because how stressful is everyone's world at the moment,
Right.
let alone those of us that are predisposed because we're nuts and just sort of attract it. Hey. But that's the kind of stuff where it's like, maybe I don't need Prozac.
Right.
Maybe I don't need Zoloft.
Right.
Maybe I need some magnesium
Right.
and to go for a walk.
And to talk to somebody.
Yes. Well,
That too.
that's this.
right.
You know, that's
Right.
that's these conversations. We need to start talking. We don't need to.
Right. Right.
When my mom got sick, nobody knew. Her very best friend knew. Her second best friend, who lived directly across the street from us, had no idea. I remember her saying at her funeral, "How did I not know this? I thought we were so much closer." But you didn't talk about it back then,
Right.
especially not in our family.
So my family is very similar, and I'll just go ahead and say,
Yeah.
like, I'm probably gonna have to like hide them from part of this conversation, because it's they look at it as like a shameful thing.
Sure.
And my dad, you know, he's in a way he's a little bit embarrassed by it, and I'm very different in that I feel super authentic, and every time I share about this or about, you know, my wellness journey I've been on, people reach out to me and they're like,
Yes.
talk to me about this.
Because you are
Thank
genuine.
you so much for
Yes.
putting this out there.
Sure.
Like, we need to know that there's pretty, not to label myself, but
Oh, I
like
stick a pretty label
young-
on her.
young
Mhm.
that are so confident about this,
Yes.
and that aren't ashamed of what they've been given and the plights they've had in
It's a
life.
different generation, though.
Right.
You know, over, I would say, 45, 50, there's
Mm-hmm.
that shame that goes with it. There's a stigma that goes with it. And should it be like that? No. But
Right.
try to teach an old dog.
I
You
know.
probably could.
I love talking to people about it, and I mean, I'm the one that around my friends is, after a few drinks, I'm taking my shirt off to show them, you know. And I'm like, hey, look, if you get a flashlight and you put it right here, it looks like a glowworm.
I've never done that. I've had these suckers 14 years.
It's
I'm gonna
amazing.
that
Do
later.
it. Get
Not
your
only-
cell phone light, and it's like,
Mark, I have a new game. We've been going outside every night because we're building our barn right now. So we walk around in the dark and see what it looks like. I'm going to take the flashlight and stick
it
it on my
is
boob.
fascinating. You can
I'm
see
not
all-
video recording.
It's going to be
see
the
all of
boob
the
light.
veins.
The boob light.
My friend got me a T-shirt that's it's the, I don't know if you remember that toy from the 80s called the glowworm. And
Yeah.
it was-
Oh, yeah.
So she got me a glowworm T-shirt.
It should be the glow. Yeah, the glow.
Glow
boob.
boobs.
Yeah.
That's her
I think
new
it could
channel.
be that.
I'm
I know
not
we
coming
could
on
start
that
a whole
show.
new. That could be like, you know, breast cancer awareness. You know.
Right.
Glow your boobs.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
you've had a single or double mastectomy, we invite you to glow your boobs in
Right,
October for
yeah.
Halloween.
And I have considered for Halloween getting, you know, pasties and finding some little LED like stick-on lights. I could just.
you could totally pull that
I
off.
don't know that my husband would let me. But I'm kind of a clown. Like I get serious about some
Kind of.
things,
She's
but
kind of a clown. One of the things I love about you is that I'm going to tell you, you obviously don't know, you're a total clown. I love it.
I'm
It's
a
so
clown.
genuine.
Yeah.
Well,
But
thank
that's
you.
relatable though. It makes
Yeah.
all the shit fun.
Right, and again, people, not a lot, but there are people who think I just am looking for attention with some of my posts that I make, and that's fine. They can think
Yeah.
that. But the other 80% of the people that I hear from that are
Sure,
like,
yeah.
"Thank you, we love you, everything you talk about, and the posts you make, and
Yeah.
I can totally relate, and not to everything, but this one in particular."
Right.
And that's just, to me, life is too short to be serious and secretive all the time.
Well, and you're always going to have that percentage
Yeah.
that are going to think, like you said, that you're making about you for that, whatever, they don't like the
Everybody's
post or
going to
whatever.
judge what you do.
Right. And so you're going to find some, what do they call them, the haters,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And you just got to pass through that, because you are reaching
right.
so many people and helping so many people that are saying, hey, thank you for saying that, or wow, I didn't know that. Well, what
Right.
you just shared earlier, I'm like, I needed to hear that.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. And at the
You know?
end of the day, it's your journey.
Yeah.
So you do you.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they don't like it, then they don't have to watch.
They
I'm
can
waiting
scroll.
for the comments on our trail ride yesterday to go, I can't believe you ladies aren't wearing helmets.
Helmets.
What kind of example are you
I
setting?
didn't think of that.
I'm
Not
sure
that I
it's
don't
coming.
care,
No,
but I
but
was
I'm
like,
sure it's
somebody's
coming.
Or
gonna
like,
say something.
absolutely.
Why
but
are you
that's
having the
okay.
halter with the bridle, or
Correct.
that doesn't look right, or your
Right.
feet aren't right, or you're
Totally.
unbound, whatever.
Or my stupid reins, or I still have my reins tied together because they kept falling down and I had loop tie. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody's going to have a huge problem with that. Have at it,
Right.
sister. If that is what you need to focus on, then go for it. You know what? I took a trail ride with my friend.
Yeah.
We talked about some boobs. No, we weren't wearing a helmet at the time. We both own them. Moving right along.
Right.
Yes.
We're grown up.
And,
Yeah.
and
Do you?
and you can always you have the option, just scroll.
Just scroll. Yeah.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
scroll.
I saw a
Exactly.
thing this morning. I shared it to my story on Facebook, and it was like, ding, ding, ding. The guy was feeding ravens off of his porch, and he has a channel, and everybody was saying, those aren't ravens, those are crows. So, okay, he started saying, I'm feeding my crows. Well, then everybody started saying, those aren't crows, those are ravens.
Oh my
So
god.
screw everybody, I'm feeding my chickens.
Yeah.
And I went, I love this guy.
Perfect.
Yes, because you
Perfect.
cannot please everybody.
Yeah.
But you know what you can do? You can work really hard to please yourself. And
Right.
as far as I'm concerned, if God's happy and my husband's happy and I'm happy and my 3 friends are happy because I really don't care about anybody else, it's all good.
Right.
It is.
No.
It's all good. You do you. Do your dances and your TikToks, and
Yep.
I wouldn't do that. I love that you do that.
Yeah.
I
This
love it.
is enough chaos
Right.
for me. I'm way out of my comfort zone. It seems like I know what the heck I'm doing. I don't. I'm totally faking it.
Well, you're good at it. I did want to be like a news lady
Did you?
when I was in college, or sports. I wanted to do sports.
I
Okay.
love this. I will be honest.
So-
And you said the same thing.
I do. I absolutely love it. It's just my schedule and timing wise. So
No,
sorry,
I
I
love that
couldn't
you
be-
made
No,
it down to the
you're
woods
fine.
to
But
join in.
I-
Colleen's here, guys. She's
yeah, I'm
behind
just
us.
I'm off camera. But I absolutely love it, and
Yeah.
the people that we're meeting, and it's stretching your comfort zone.
Yep.
And,
Right.
like I really like my comfy.
Right.
My zone is like
Yeah.
my zone. But thankful to Amy for inviting me to be part of like a co-host, and
It's awesome.
to step outside and ask the questions. And when she sends me the drafts of, well, they're not drafts of your videos.
You're
after you
like,
edit.
does
But,
this suck?
but
watch
they're
this
like
for me.
perfect. But she's like, this is my draft.
Well,
And
I've
I'm like,
watched it 400 times. I can't watch it
I-
again. You just need to
yeah,
watch
and so then I look at it, and then I'm like, okay, get over yourself on camera. Like you are who you are. You look the way you look, and
Right.
get over yourself.
Right.
Like have fun with it.
Right.
So
That's
thank
what
you,
I
Amy.
said this morning. Mark watched our trail ride video while he was working out this morning. I could hear it. And I'm rolling my eyes, like, what are you doing? I'm like, I am just such a dork.
No, you
Like,
are.
and he's like, you'll get used to it. I'm used to it.
And you will love it.
Yes.
Which we, I'm a
It's
dork
fine.
too. That's why we get along so well. But-
I'm definitely adorable.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
but
why
it's
you're
a happy, good, fun. But I love this.
Yeah.
And the conversations and the stuff that you're doing, and you like pushing out, like just stretching our comfort zone, and then you get a little further,
Right.
and then you go, well, let's go over there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah.
I
I've
like
already
that.
caught myself a couple times starting one thing and then getting off.
Oh,
onto
totally.
something
Squirrel.
else, but that's
You
fine.
know.
That's fine. You're in the right place.
Yeah, right?
We go
Oh,
right
yeah.
there with you.
Right.
Great company.
Now, you may have already talked about this because I kind of came in
Sure.
while you were talking. Your wellness, like how did you like Google it? Like how did you get started on
No,
finding the person that helped you?
I have my kids went to preschool with this guy's kids.
Okay.
So I had known him for 5 years.
Okay.
And had followed him on Facebook, and he had one of the only urban gardens in Monroe, all organic, and just one of these people who I always felt very drawn to.
Okay.
And I had kept telling him, I really want to work with you. I really want to run past what's going on with my hormones and see what you think. And I finally bit the bullet and said, you know what? I've had it. Like, it's time for me to do this for me. And he works with people all over the world. He does most of the stuff virtually.
Is
So
his last
he does-
name Newbill?
Yes.
So his whole thing is like a new bill of health, but his last name is Newbill, and I'm like, play on words like that.
That's
You're
awesome.
my
Awesome,
people.
isn't it?
I just sent his link to Mark and said this might be our guy. Holistic
Yeah.
nutrition. Let's
No,
check
me
it out.
too, because I've been, up and down, I feel like with my hormones at times, and it's like all I want to do is weep or I want to scream, and I'm like, okay, who is this?
Yeah.
Who are
we're
you?
gonna
I-
go to a nutritionalist. I just
Mhm.
don't know which one. Anne recommended one in Asheville that she loved that really helped her with Sydney's celiac disease and kind of changing the way they ate.
Okay.
And then with your posts and stuff, I've kind of brought that into the conversation. But we are doing something
Mhm.
to change what we put into our bodies. So come on board
Yeah,
if you want. and we'll do
absolutely.
it
Thank
together.
you for sharing that. 'Cause
Absolutely.
it really does come down to what we put in, and
Sure.
also thinking and our tribe
Yeah.
of people and
Yeah.
people that support us and encourage us, and who's in your circle.
Right.
Well, you
you
put
know.
really crappy fuel in your car, it's going to run, but it might run like crap. You
Right.
put really good fuel in your car,
Right.
and it's going to run a whole heck of a lot better and last a lot longer. That's all we're doing. We're fueling our bodies, we're setting it up for success, or we're setting it up for disease.
Right.
I don't want a
I
disease.
always had terrible migraines too.
Me too.
Once a week, I would be under the blankets, just ice on my head. I can't do it, and you know, like us, we still have to do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I tell people.
Kids,
I couldn't
horses.
have migraine days
No.
where I just lay in bed because I have to do stuff.
Right.
So I always suffered through it. I always had a pretty high pain tolerance. But right when I started working with him, I'm like, Ken, these headaches. He's like, let's do the sugar. Let's do the sugar
Yes.
thing. Let's see how that does. And go see my friendly chiropractor.
Yep.
And within a week of seeing this new chiropractor who I adore,
Mhm.
I would recommend him, but he's in my area.
I'm sure there are lots
Yeah,
of
but
He's
people
worth the
in
trip.
there. Who is
Yeah,
it?
his name's Dr. Nick Nide.
Well, see, there you
he's
go.
in Waxhaw, so
Yeah.
horse country.
And Dr. Matt is over in Cornelius at Zimmerman Family Wellness, and that's my guy.
Right.
And I go in, and he's like, how are you feeling? I'm like, normal. He's like, so crap.
right. Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I think on my intake form for him, it was something about, do you have headaches? And I'm like, yeah, I have headaches, but they're normal headaches.
Normal
or
headaches.
Whatever. And
Headaches aren't normal.
He told me he's had several people have that same thing. Like, I just have normal headaches.
Yeah.
And he's like, headaches are not normal
That's
at
what
all. You
Dr. Matt
shouldn't
said.
have headaches.
How's your pain level? Normal.
Right.
Normal's not.
It's not normal.
Yeah, hello?
It's normal for you.
But see, that's the
you
thing.
normalize it.
Because
Yeah.
we've learned to deal with it. We still feed. We still get the kids where they need to go. Hubby's taken care of.
Right.
You're in pain,
Right.
but that's not normal.
Right.
So have you been able to alleviate or eliminate a lot of that with what you've been doing?
Eliminate.
Mm.
If I have, so my husband's birthday was the 27th,
Saw that.
and if I had a little bit of ice cream cake, which I'm just not drawn to sweets anymore.
I can't imagine.
I was the one who would eat like 4 oatmeal cream pies at a time. Like, I was
Just the icing off the cake.
It
would
was
be good.
bad. But now I can kind of take it or leave it.
Like a bite,
Yeah.
and then you're good.
But I did have a full piece of ice cream cake, and I had a terrible headache the next day.
Oh wow.
It's like when you drink too much.
Right.
Yeah,
and so
you're
now
a
that's
sugar
exactly
hangover.
how I feel
Mm.
when I don't eat well now. Is I feel just not great.
Yeah.
And that makes me immediately want to get back on the train.
For sure. For
I,
sure.
I was so immune to it before.
Yeah.
I think I was made out of sugar.
Yeah.
You know?
Right before we turned 40, and we're nowhere near that anymore, I said to Mark, look, I feel like crap. I look like crap. I'm not happy anymore. And I had a friend who did isogetics, who wasn't your typical used car salesman shoving it down your throat, who was a horse girl. And I sent her a message. It was Ellie O'Brien when she still was here in the States, and said, look, can I just ask you some questions without getting a sales pitch? Yes. and we tried it, and it was amazing. I lost like 5 pounds. Mark lost like 50. It was totally unfair. And so we did it for another 30 days, and I lost maybe 3 to 5 more, and he lost another 1,000. I don't know. For guys, let me tell you. But I felt amazing. So that slow, lethargic growth. I'm like, well, this is getting older. I guess that's just getting older.
That was me. Everything.
Right.
I blamed everything on the hormones.
Yes.
Oh,
but that's not what it was. It was what I was fueling my body with.
Absolutely.
And we stayed on that for almost 4 years. And I worked at the airport, and I kind of got off, but you eat the airport food and maybe a bar or something. And I constantly would have bars, my isogenics bars. Oh, it's all you eat. You never eat. Okay, whatever. It's my journey. And somehow, some way, in the last few years, slowly got off of it. And guess what? I feel like crap.
Yeah.
We've got to get back on something. So we just started that again. But in addition to that, the supplements, the movement, all of that needs to be added in.
High quality supplements
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Just
Not-
the stuff at Walgreens.
I was just literally, you took the words out of my
Right.
mouth, because it matters. And my sister is huge on holistic wellness and things like that. She had some hormone stuff happen after she had her twins, her last 2 kids, and has spent the last 10, 12 years studying and researching and testing and trying all of these different methods. So anytime I have a question, I'm like, is this a good what do you get? What
That's
about
great
this
that you have a
vitamin?
resource.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. I've told her 1,000 times, you need to go into this. This is your thing. You've invested your life in this.
Yeah.
You need to get some actual training. You can help people.
There's so much information, and that's what Ken, I don't know if you have a chance to listen to any of his videos yet, but he knows how things work, like at the cellular level. So like with magnesium, and I have too much calcium, and the calcium builds like a shell around your cells, so you can't absorb it, and you have to get iodine to break that calcium shell, and just there's so much that you wouldn't know naturally, and that's why, so hey, if I recommended this supplement to you, it works great for me. It might not work the same for
Right,
you.
I might not need
because
it.
you might not have that same problem, and that's why multivitamins are kind of a
Oh my gosh.
big waste of money.
Yeah, no.
And just
Did he test you? Like, did he do
so he does
testing?
hair tissue mineral
Okay.
analysis, and I had some bizarre like heavy metals in my
I think Jill did too. Yeah.
and it could be I back up to a big farm,
Okay.
and it could be that the water is coming down, or even the pesticides. I was worried. He told me I had something weird, and he's like, are you around pesticides? I was like, well, fly spray for the horses.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he's
Yeah.
like, that could be part of it.
Oh, wow.
And I've tried to get more organic with that. I did the apple cider vinegar, the neem oil, tea tree oil, and I think the Avon Skin So Soft, just for
Right.
that
to make
binding.
it stick, yeah.
It was all right, but in the end, none of it lasts. I don't even the
Right.
piranha or whatever.
Yeah.
it
And I
is.
do still use it. I just don't. I wasn't afraid to spray it on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't do that anymore.
If
did
I
used
was
to do
out
that.
there
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, just walk through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I forget, well, then you have to think too of like your deep woods off,
Right.
right? And
Right.
that type of, mosquito repellent for us, that says it's safe for us.
It's not.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not. I was involved in a healthcare coalition in California and learned that these levels that are safe for us are based on like a 180-pound man.
Right.
So our drinking water, our air quality, all of that stuff. So if you're any less than that, guess what? They're not safe.
Right.
Wow.
It's so
That was
important
20
to
years
get your
ago.
water tested.
Oh yeah.
We have
Even your
the
well water.
obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
But we test it, and I have a little bit high iron, and that's a problem. Another thing that kind of goes hand to hand with the breast cancer, ovarian cancer discussion is most women are highly copper toxic from taking birth control.
Oh.
And you can't metabolize things the same way when you have too much copper in your body. So
Interesting.
when you're high in copper, you're low in, I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but whatever it is important. So it's
So find that out.
right,
Get tested and find out what your levels
Find
are.
somebody who will do more than just a basic blood panel to check your,
Yep. Which is what I get when I go to the doctor, because I want, check me for cancer, check me for everything. They're not checking me for that.
Right.
And that's why we're going a more holistic route. I'm still going to go to my,
right.
And I
for
still
my
do.
testing,
Yeah.
but I want more than that.
Right.
You want to go deeper.
Yeah.
You want to
I want to be
understand.
safer. I want to be healthier. I want to be well. I want to feel good.
Right.
I don't want to feel like crap.
I've learned things from him that I've applied to my horses as well. I've stopped feeding my horses normal processed grains. I'm feeding them mostly forage-based, so grass pellets and a balancer. And I always fed beet pulp. And he's like, do you know what sugar beets are for? What they're used for? And I'm just like, no, I don't. He's like, it's to clean up the toxins in the fields. Like, they plant them to absorb all of the junk in the soil.
And then we feed it to our horses,
we're
and we
feeding to
wonder why
horses.
they're getting sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't think about that.
Right.
Because I learned horses from someone that did horses, and that person fed sheep,
Right,
and
and
said
you
that's
didn't,
what we do.
and you didn't. Yeah, I've never been told that before, and
Right.
once I was like, wow. And
Ding,
then
ding,
you
ding.
start thinking about. He told me if you eat your own chickens and even their eggs, most chicken food is made out of old Doritos and donuts and the stuff that they
It's
can't
just
sell
junk.
to people.
They
Aren't
just
Doritos flammable? I saw that somewhere. That might be hocus pocus.
So
I don't
that's
know.
what they make. That's what
Yeah.
they make the chicken food out of, and then you're going to eat that chicken and its
Correct.
eggs, thinking that it's healthy
Horrible.
when it's just been eating junk.
Right. That's why it's important to buy organic.
It
matters.
It's fascinating, and
Yeah.
I really do think it has such an impact on all cancers.
Absolutely. Mental wellness
Right
and physical
now.
wellness.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
I think if we could really push a healthier way of living,
Yes.
I do think that we would see cancers go down.
I
Yes.
totally agree. 100%.
well, and heart disease,
Oh, yeah,
you know, all
absolutely.
kinds of.
But I think it
Yeah.
goes back to
Mhm.
the bottom dollar. And again, not to get political, but you have to be your own advocate because
Mhm.
the people that are there to advocate for your health, your doctors, are also the ones that are writing the prescriptions. They're not
Right.
going to say, do all of these healthy things that really will stop you from seeing me.
And
Some will.
to be fair to them, that's not what they're taught in medical
Correct.
school.
Correct.
Because pharmaceutical companies are funding the schools, and that's fine. That's facts.
Right. But so you have to do your own research.
Right.
And be your
So,
own
and I have found that all of my doctors have been very open when I come to them with
Oh, yeah.
data, and I'm like, let's talk about. I'm a little bit hypothyroid. Let's talk about what I need to do to. This is what I'm doing. I don't want you to put me on any medicine. Can we retest this instead of you putting me on levothyroxine or whatever? Can we retest in 5 months?
Right.
What are you comfortable with?
Mhm.
And are they on board with that?
Yeah.
So is my doctor,
Absolutely.
which is awesome.
Yeah, mine is as well. She would be as well.
But then I have other friends that are like, no, we're doing this, this, and this, and that's what we're doing. And they go, okay. No, not okay.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you have to know. And,
Yeah.
and my doctor wasn't. I really like her. She didn't know a lot about the BRCA genes. So I told her, I'm really bad about keeping a calendar of things. So can you remind me when I need to go get, because I guess I'm supposed to get breast MRIs now? Have you been, I haven't.
So I fight with my insurance company about mammograms every
Oh,
year.
because you don't have BRCA, right?
I do not have the gene,
Right,
but
you-
I had a complete double mastectomy.
You did
so they
it
don't
because
even,
you had family history.
I had family history. I had 3 scares, and my mom was gone by 40. And my kids were very young at the time, and I went, I'm not putting them through that. I am not leaving them.
Right. So yeah, that's a lot harder with insurance.
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't care. So we figured out we pay out of pocket.
Right.
We've discussed MRI. It's never been said, well, I'm sending you for an MRI.
Right.
We've discussed ultrasound, and my doctor is on board with ultrasound and wants me to get that. Even though she writes it out that way, I still have to fight it. What I recently found out about is thermoscan.
Right.
Have you done that?
No, I haven't. I heard you talking about
So
that.
my
on-
sister talked to me about that. Tracy Waugh up at Triple Diamond is big on health and wellness and all of that. I know they're ridiculous. And she actually said it too. So I've started researching that, and there are a couple places in Charlotte that do that mobily. So maybe we bring them out here
Right.
too. Maybe I just go there, but I think I definitely want to have that done.
Right.
It's fascinating to me because the heat in your body shows where you have inflammation.
Right.
And what's inflamed may very well be
Right.
cancer that isn't showing,
Right.
because they can say it can show stuff 4 to 5 years before it
Wow.
can even be detected.
Wow.
That's huge to me,
That is.
especially when you think of like the Jodys and the Jennies that
Mhm.
within a few months
Yeah.
stuff's
Right.
changing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm going to look into that too. You
Right.
got lots of options.
Right.
Right.
I also do want to mention, people always ask about ovarian cancer screening.
Yeah.
So there's not really a great way to
Mhm.
screen for ovarian cancer.
Okay.
That's why they call it the silent killer, because there's typically no signs until it's very advanced, which is spotting, cramping, bowel changes are the big ones to be on the lookout for. But when you go for a pap smear and you have any family history of ovarian cancer, they can ultrasound your ovaries. That's one way they can do it. So just like when you're very early pregnant, same kind of ultrasound.
Yeah.
They're supposed to, during a pap smear, feel
Yep.
your ovaries just to see if there's any changes. But it might be worth asking about what's called a CA-125, and it's a blood test.
Okay.
The first one is basically worthless because it just gets a baseline.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would say in your early 30s, maybe get sometime a CA-125 just to get a baseline. And every year when you go for your pap smear, just ask, can we do another CA-125? And they can tell from a change, like a big jump
That
in the
makes sense.
CA-125.
That's really good.
And nobody
To know.
knows about
No,
it.
Which is insane. How did you find out about that then?
So it's pretty common for people with the gene to be told about it.
Okay.
And I don't know why it's not. Again, I don't think the test tells you. Well, it doesn't tell you anything the first time.
Sure, but like you said, the baseline will show
But
you if
it's
anything's
still
changing.
something that you can. It's a tool
Yeah.
at your disposal.
Absolutely.
So again, it's called a CA-125.
Okay.
And I don't know exactly what it measures, but it's just a blood test. So before I got my hysterectomy, I was getting that done, I think every 6 months. Just
Wow.
another option.
Yeah, for sure.
No, good to
That's
know.
awesome.
Because like you said, it's not talked about.
No. Well, there's a
And
lot of
that's
stuff
what we
that's not.
should. I don't want to push in on your event next year, but September is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, and we're doing it in September. Well, maybe we just do.
Well,
a little
and you know,
something.
and not a big thing, but maybe just a small informational booth about ovarian cancer.
I
you
think
can be in charge of that.
I think that's wonderful
I would love
because
that.
you know they're kind of connected
Well, it's
in a
all the girl
roundabout way.
parts.
Yeah, it's all the girl parts, and like you said, it is a silent killer, and it's one that isn't talked about a whole lot, right?
And we talked about before you walked up
Yeah.
how breast cancer awareness is such a we don't need any more awareness. We need research. We need data. We need assistance. Ovarian cancer needs awareness.
Yeah.
And that's what teal is the color.
Yep.
That's why teal's the color of ovarian cancer awareness. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're in charge.
And
Let's
the
develop
more
that
we
word out there.
share,
I love that.
you know, talking about, you know, breast cancer, ovarian cancer,
Health.
the C word,
Yep.
you know, all the way around, it's really helpful.
Yeah.
You know, because people need to be aware, and it's not, you know, a secret.
Right.
You know, we need to
Right.
talk, and it's not shameful, and it just is. And what can we do to help you, and what can we do to prevent?
Right.
Like preventative, taking care of ourselves, like you were talking about the holistic, what you're doing, and what you're looking into doing, what I need to look into doing. And we have to be our own advocate.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sure.
We have to not always accept what's out there, what's told. It's like, let me dig in.
Yeah.
Let me find out. Let me do some research.
Yeah. I love that.
That's great
yeah,
stuff.
a lot of people ask me, just in my general journey, how my husband felt about this.
Yeah.
And it's something that a lot of people don't talk about.
Mhm.
I had spectacular boobs before I had my surgery done.
Mine were all right.
Well, this is how I know there's a difference between a boob job and a mastectomy, because I had implants before I got
okay.
it done. And they're very different.
Oh yeah, they're very different. Yeah.
But his mother died of breast cancer 4 years. Well, she had breast cancer and she died of metastasized lung cancer. They said it was a completely different cancer.
Okay.
Don't know if I buy that.
Right.
If it was in such a similar area.
Mhm.
And then his sister had breast cancer a few years ago in her mid-40s. So, and no genetic marker in that
Right.
family that we know of.
Okay.
So, was my husband on board for this? Absolutely.
Absolutely. And Mark's mom, and he's gonna kill me. It was either ovarian cancer or cervical cancer. I can't remember which. Died of that. And so, and was my surgery. I think my surgery was shortly after that. but he was 100% on board. And I don't know if you saw any of the stuff that we talked about, but when I went in for my consultation, because I had the BRCA testing, I went to the oncologist, my doctor wanted them out. I went to the plastic surgeon, and that's where he said, there is so much breast tissue in your nipple, if you were my wife, it would all be gone. And I decided then, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Like, I recently married,
Right.
under 5 years, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And I called, and Mark was like, what is the question? Like, we're talking about your life or your boobs.
Right.
And if we're doing this, let's do it. Let's get
Right.
it all out. That's when I knew I had a good one. I mean, a little bit before that, I guess.
Right.
But to have that support,
Right. Oh, for
you
sure.
know,
I
it's
mean,
huge.
I was worried enough, and I got to keep my nipples.
Right.
I just didn't. They said if you do get cancer there, it'll be very easy to feel.
Right.
And we make a game of it.
Yeah. You
To
know
help
what's so funny
help check everything
is
out.
all the different doctors and opinions, and over time, granted mine was 14 years ago, yours was 7 years ago. My friend Laura, I've got 5 friends now, but let's use Laura as an example, is going through it right now.
Right.
They just did a lumpectomy.
Right. My sister-in-law saying.
And I go, what? But that's what her doctor's recommending. That's
Right.
what works for her. She had a reduction. Jody, or
Mhm.
not Jody, Jenny
Mhm.
had a reduction. And in my brain, I go, no breast tissue, no risk.
Right.
Breast tissue risk.
Right.
But that's what they're recommending now. And back when I did it, it was get everything out,
Right.
be gone. You know, so there's just so many different ways to approach it. And you've got to do
Right.
what's best for you. Again,
Right.
what's best for you,
Right.
not what's best for someone else.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a hard thing. But
Oh, yeah.
it's such an important thing.
It is. It is.
And you can't bury your head in sand about it. I have people who, even I think Stephanie on your thing, or no, Lisa was saying, well, she had never had her boobs checked.
Several people have never had mammograms
And
that came. This is my first ultrasound, and I went,
Right, like you
I've been doing
have
this
to.
since I was 30.
Right, you
Yeah.
have
Right.
to, and you
Yeah.
have to. The recommendations might even be older than you are, but if it's a worry, concern for you,
Yeah.
make it happen.
Well, who's
Yeah.
setting the recommendations? Colleen and I talked, and we haven't aired this episode yet, but your insurance company said, well, you can do it every other year now.
Yeah, the mammograms.
Can I now?
Yeah.
Who decides that?
Right.
No, I'm going to decide when and what is going to be checked on my body, because insurance might want me to do it over here, but cancer does not care what my insurance wants.
Well,
and
and
I need to know what's going on.
And I think with pap smears too, they're bumped out to once in every 5 years now, which is insane.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Just do it. I'll pay out of pocket. It's fine.
Right, but it's like, well, where do they sit in the meetings and go, okay, well, let's look at what data are you looking at and what.
But that's when all the conspiracy theorists
Yeah.
come out and go, well, then they make more money when you get sick.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I do or don't agree with that, but
Right.
I totally get where they're coming from.
There's
Right.
reasons why people have doubt about
Yeah,
it.
it
Sure.
makes sense. It's
Yeah.
a struggle, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So you got to do what's best for you.
Right.
Right.
When is your surgery? You're getting redone.
So, I'll explain what happened there. My first reconstruction, they put my implants under the muscles, and that was pretty typical at the time I had them done because since you don't have any breast tissue, having an implant right under your skin there's not very much there.
Mhm.
So they would look more natural under the muscle. For me, it's always been, I've always had a lot of discomfort from it because I'm so active and I use my chest muscles so much. I used to do CrossFit and I can't do push-ups, I can't do pull-up, really
Yeah.
anything that I use my chest muscles. And I have really bad animation deformity, like we said. So if I'm on the beach and I just go to get up, it looks terrible.
Weird.
And I've always been really self-conscious about
Yeah.
that. So I checked in with my plastic surgeon who was like, well, it's funny that you came in because now we're doing 85% of them over the muscle.
Wow.
For those very reasons, they have a collagen matrix that they use now over top of the implant. So you have a thicker, it's basically like another layer of skin under your skin that holds the implant down. So there will be no
I think
more.
I need to talk to your guy. My guy didn't say anything because I'm supposed to get these redone in November. You're what, the first
November
week?
the 8th.
And I'm the 17th.
Yeah.
And I'm seriously considering backing out of it. I keep saying I'm not going to do it, but I have some breast tissue that they left,
Right.
and I want it out.
Right.
So yeah, I might.
It's
need to
right.
get it.
Yeah, he's a CMC man.
Yeah.
I adore him. I think he's great. He's French, so he you know, me and him disagree a little bit about the size.
So he-
Because he has an artist's eye and he wants things to be very balanced. And
So he wants you to go bigger than you want to go,
no,
or the other way
actually
around?
the other way around.
Okay.
Yeah. This first time he didn't want to stretch my skin too much.
Okay.
And so I did have expanders, which is another whole nother. That could be a
Oh,
whole
yeah.
nother podcast talking about those. But this time he's like, "Yeah, you've gained a little bit of weight."
I know.
So,
but he made it. But he makes it sound everything's good.
right.
You know, you're like, okay, like,
Yeah, he's great, but I like him a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, good.
But I'm excited to have them, and it's not a vanity thing for me. It's not
No.
so much about how they look, because they're always gonna not look normal.
Right.
But being able to use my chest muscles again
Yeah.
will be life changing.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. That's awesome. Well, good for you.
The conversation, though, great. Thank
Yeah.
you for.
Oh,
Well,
it
I
was
mean,
fun.
seriously, I appreciate you sharing, and I'm sure it's going to resonate with people. And
Yeah.
you know, for the haters that don't like her goofiness, get
Just
off
scroll.
my channel.
Just scroll.
For the ones that love her, you know, love her and then follow us.
To
So
get to know me
subscribe.
is to love
It
me.
is to love you. You're lovable
That's right.
and helpful and
Thank
friendly. I mean, seriously, and bringing the
And funny.
the truck up.
And oh yeah, that was
I
super
can be
cool.
really funny. I'd need like 1 or 2 drinks, and I will.
Oh, you're like,
entertain
you'll-
you all night
All
long.
Are
right.
you drinking when you do the TikTok videos?
Oh, not normal.
Then I think you're funny without. I'm just
Just
saying.
yeah.
They're pretty good.
I know.
Yeah, I think they're pretty good. And you keep it light and it's fun and it's funny, and despite all the stuff,
Thanks.
you know, you could be a real negative Nancy and just
Yeah.
be like, life
Could be.
sucks.
Yeah, I
You know?
went through a couple years
I
know, I
was.
being that way.
I think it's how we grieve and process and hard times. We kind of have to cycle through certain things. It's just the key is not to allow ourselves to get stuck.
Yeah.
Right.
You-
And I will say, I
Yeah.
think that I've changed my approach to being upset, and I use humor as a defense mechanism a lot of the times. If I'm feeling self-conscious or
Oh, sure.
I'll step out there and make fun of myself, and it kind of makes me feel better.
That's awesome.
So
It is.
you know, it is authentic,
Yes.
but sometimes it is for me.
Well, sometimes you have to push yourself out of your own
Right.
bubble,
Right.
and then you're better for it.
Right. And if you, instead of saying, I hate life and why did this happen to me and
Yeah.
this is so unfair, if I can make light of it and make a joke out of it, it makes it not as serious.
Absolutely. Well, I think taking stories like yours,
Mhm.
like mine, Jenny, Jody, Laura, all the women that we've spoken to,
Mhm.
and sharing it on a platform like this is going to help someone. We may
Yes.
not even ever know
Right.
that it helped them, because not everybody comments, not everybody is subscribed. They might just see it and be like, God, I needed to hear that.
Well,
today."
and the beauty of social media too, and like YouTube, like I don't see YouTube going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
So 5 years from now,
Yeah.
somebody could be clicking and going, you know, I'm going through this. Oh, let me look at this.
Yeah.
And you say something, or you say something that resonates with them, and they needed it at that
Yeah.
time. So it's not even just now,
Yeah.
Right.
you know, or your TikTok videos or something. You know, they might see them
Yeah, once
5
they're
years
out there,
later and
they're
be
out
like, man,
there.
this lady's so funny. Is she still around? Let me
Yeah.
look at her other stuff.
Absolutely.
You know?
I still have people messaging me. Raina, a draft mare that we bought at auction, just
Mm-hmm.
without even touching her, had horrible canker in her hooves, and we videoed that entire process.
That's amazing.
Shocking, I know, and shared it on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I still have people reaching out 7 years later.
Yeah.
About that, asking for advice or seeing the
That's
video.
awesome.
It's awesome. This stuff.
Yeah.
Either resonates with someone today or 10 years from now.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
I
Right.
want to ask you one more thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel a little bit like you cheated by doing what you did? Every once in a while, I have a problem with this word,
Okay.
and I feel like it takes away from the survivors. Do you ever have that
You know,
feeling?
for me personally, I don't. But I also have a little thorn in my side because I feel cheated. My mother was stolen from me when I was 13.
Right.
So I'm not in competition with anybody. I am all about warriors and survivors and pre-vivors and family members who have lost people. I'm for everybody. But for me, no, I don't feel like I cheated. I feel like I did this for me, and I more importantly than that, for my kids,
For your family.
because they were little. Granted, they're older now, but the what if for me was too big.
Right. Yeah.
But I totally get where you feel
Yeah,
like that.
occasionally I think I posted in the thing I said yesterday something about I took the easy way out. And Kathy, you know Kathy Hines?
I know the
She's
name.
a survivor, horse lady. I think she's in Mooresville maybe. She said, "Are you crazy?
Right. There's
You
nothing
didn't
easy
take
about
the
what you
easy
did."
way out. I always think, you know, I could have been one of the ones that never got it,
Sure.
and I struggle with that a lot.
Yeah.
Like,
And
You know,
that's valid,
right.
you know?
And so sometimes it feels a little like I shouldn't celebrate what I did, and I need to celebrate the survivors and just downplay. It's important to get out there what I did prophylactically. Thank you.
Really? On the hay that I just gave you, buddy? That's the last
Well,
time
it's
I'm giving
no
him
splash. That's the no splash zone
That's
because the
not
hay will. That's yeah.
No,
But
I
that's
think it's valid for you to feel that, but I think it's also fair to say you need to let that go
Right.
because you're not in competition with anyone. You did what you did for yourself, for your family, and it's not about being better than
And
or
I am
cheating.
proud of it.
You
I'm
should
proud.
be. You should be, and you're probably going to help somebody else make that decision,
Right.
or that's already going through it. So it's valid for you to feel like that, but as my new friend, you get the hell over yourself. No, you made the right call and you did the right thing for you, and it wasn't an easy decision, and nothing about surgery or recovery or any of the stuff that you had to go
Yeah.
through with those decisions was easy.
Right.
It's just what worked for you.
well, and statistically, did you say it was like 85% probability that you could have?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
chance
That's-
was about 87%.
That is up
That is
Yeah,
a
and
lot.
ovarian was 60-something%.
Yeah. I mean, those are high percentages.
Yeah.
You know,
And
I
this
mean, but
isn't
you bring up a
Vegas. I'm not
really
gambling with my life.
interesting perspective. So I'm glad you shared that
Yeah.
because that's not something.
I always sort of wonder if that's how survivors see it. And
Sure. And I'm sure some do,
Right.
but just like the raven or the crow,
Right. Like lucky you. Lucky you got to make
Sure.
that choice. But yeah.
okay, so then I look at people that got a lumpectomy in the 80s. How are you still alive and my mom's not? Am I mad at you for
Right.
that?
Right.
No, I'm a little jaded over it, but then I get over myself. Thank
Right.
God you're alive.
Right.
Right.
I don't know why my mom's not. I don't know.
Right.
But her story is not her story. I say it all the time to the women here at the barn. You're not in competition with anyone at this barn. You're in competition with the horsewoman that you were yesterday. It's not about what she does with her horse
Right.
or what she did over here. It's about you.
Comparison is the killer of joy.
Yes.
We are joyful women
Yes.
most days.
Always.
Oh. No, I'm glad you shared that though. I'm sure you're not
Yes.
the only one that struggles with it, honestly.
Yes.
Honestly. Seriously, if you're watching this right now, will you please comment and tell her she's not alone, because I know that you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I know that you're not. There's too many of us that struggle with these insecurities and these feelings of doubt and fear and shame and all of that stuff. And for
And
you to be vulnerable and share that.
It feels
Yeah.
good to say it to
Yeah.
somebody too. you
Heck
know?
yeah.
Yes.
To all the somebodies.
Well, it's good though because it's not something that I have ever heard talked about
Right.
or brought up.
Yeah.
So I think it's a beautiful thing that you did bring it up, and it was probably hard.
But I wish that there was more. I wish we had more
Yeah.
spokespeople.
Absolutely.
So,
Well,
indeed.
you know what though?
Mhm.
How many people would look at you and say, well, it makes sense for her to have the double mastectomy. She's BRCA1 positive. What a cheater she is. I'm not BRCA1 positive. So if we're going to compare, which we're not going to do, you've got a far more valid claim
Right.
in the hater's eyes than I would.
Right.
So think about that next time you're doubting yourself. You know, it's about your personal journey, just like mine is about my personal journey.
Right.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah.
All good stuff, lady.
Yeah. Really
I'm so
good.
glad you came.
It's fun. I know.
Yeah.
I know,
I
right?
really could talk all day. So
Oh,
it's like,
please.
shut up.
Well, you just have to come
If
back.
I get up, I have to feed horses. I'm so cozy.
No, this is a nice
I
little
never
nook.
sit down. I know.
Yeah, I'm
All right, so
really.
you're coming to the event next year.
100%.
You're going to
Awesome.
do a booth or find
This
someone to do
year,
a booth.
I think my husband. I think I said it kind of in passing in front of him, and I always don't want to hurt his feelings, but he's very like not protective, but weekends are for him.
Family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
well, the boys had games too, right?
They did.
Yeah.
I don't think he understood exactly because I was like, yeah, we're taking the truck, it's this breast cancer thing. And then the next day I was like, I want to go, but I don't know if I should take a horse. And he's like, it's a horse thing? And I'm like, yes.
Wait a minute.
So he was just very like, I think if he knew it was about breast cancer
Yeah.
and horses and a bunch of my friends were coming, he would have been like, go. But instead,
Yeah.
he just
Little
didn't think it was
resentful.
a big deal.
Okay, let's tell John this. So next year.
Next year, it's my weekend. I'll
No,
tell
no,
him,
no.
beat it, get
no,
out
no,
of
no. You find somebody for the kids to hang out with. You set up a play date because next year we are going to have
Try to get him on
a little.
horse.
You don't have to ride a horse.
Okay.
Wait for it. Because I'm pretty sure Mark Jones and Mark Hausman are going to be in charge of the VIP area because that's where the beer trucks will be.
Oh yeah, put a football game on.
Yeah.
Yes.
So John can come and be part of that.
And there's going to be
with
food
the
trucks too. So food,
yeah,
beer,
yeah.
chilling
Because
out.
both of them thought about helping with the testing and the scanning.
I'm sure.
And I don't think anybody
They're
needs
like, we'll
Jonesy
do the
or Hausman
field
helping with
test.
that.
We'll do it naturally.
Yeah. So we can't sell alcohol here because we don't have a license for that. However, we can have, we found a company that does, they're really cool trucks that provide the beer. We can sell tickets to the VIP
Yes.
area. And then if you sponsor scans or an event or something like that, then you just get to go in there and booze it on. Yeah. If you're nervous about your scan, you can have some booze.
Just-
if you want to stay later, you can have some booze. So we're boozing it up in 2022.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's gonna
I mean,
be
this year was great.
We planned this in 3 weeks. Can you
Yeah.
imagine what we can do in a year?
I know.
Got it.
I'm
I'm on
excited.
board. I really want to help this year.
Absolutely.
Now I know how to get here and everything.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. All right, well, I'm going to go feed horses. You go back to your family.
They're not home.
Oh, that's right.
I'm all by
I'm
myself.
going home with her. Can you feed the horses? We're going to have some adult beverages.